Happy Monday, everybody. Today on our Parent Cafe live chat, we are going to be talking about meeting needs. One of my needs is having a clean house and a workspace. And as you can see, I don't really have that right now. And part of that's because I'm in the middle of some projects. So that's pretty much always, though. So we're constantly finding that balance, right? So the reason I want to talk about this today is because we are in a time where some of our needs are really hard to be met, partially due to resources, some of it's social distancing. Some people don't have jobs, some people are working way more hours. There's just such a variety of things going on right now. And I've read a lot of different posts at the start of this COVID pandemic talking about how we have no excuses. We can do all these amazing things. And now people are like, settle down. It's okay. We have, internal needs that need to be met. And if those aren't met, it's hard to do these other things. So don't feel bad about it. And I really want to focus on that and just kind of celebrate when our needs are met and what that feels like. And that's okay. So if you guys have not joined us before, on Mondays and Wednesdays at noon, I go live for a live chat. So you guys are welcome to watch these and chat. So if you're catching this later, put those on your calendar if you're looking forward to something. If you have topics you want to hear about, please let me know. I usually just pick something that's relevant. And I schedule out our uploaded videos with topics and content so you guys can see those, but this is more current events, I guess, whatever's relevant. So if you have things you would like me to cover on any format, please let me know. So Q&A, so I'm gonna ask you guys questions, and if you can answer them, even if you're not on the live chat, please feel free to do those. Nobody's gotten the courage to ask me any questions yet, but maybe you don't have any. So I would love some feedback or input as well. So back to our topic. So today we're going to be talking about meeting needs. So the first question I want to ask today is, when have you felt like all your needs were met? So it's really cool to look back and think, and maybe it's right now, which would be amazing. To think back when everything was going well, or if it is going well now. And our needs do change, so that's okay. Maybe we have different needs right now, and those are all being met. I'm typing in this question if I could. Not spell everything backwards. So when have you felt like all your needs were met? So was it like when you were a kid and you had somebody that was always looking out for you, like your parents or grandparents or teachers or any other caregiver? Was it right after you had your first baby and people were there to support you? Is it right now where the community is kind of bonding together to help do some supports? And, your needs might be met in very different areas and they might be lacking in others, but think about where it's really important to you to have those met. That is good for your overall well-being. So I know I've talked about how I've struggled with my anxiety through this, and my husband stepped up to help me and make sure that I can have some time that's dedicated to working and I'm not juggling the house, my son, and working at the same time. So that's been really helpful for my sanity, and that's a huge need to be met. And I've had to make my goals and priorities a little different right now because some things are just not realistic, and that was hard. And so 5 weeks in, it takes a while to figure that out, and that's okay. So I would like you guys to answer that. So for question 2, what did that feel like? For me, it's like a breath of fresh air, and I feel like I'm not drowning anymore. And I felt like the love. I felt supported. I felt whole. I felt like I could be me again instead of this weird version of anxiety Nicole, which I'm not a huge fan of. So for me, it's just amazing. Like, I don't feel as stressed and overwhelmed. And the good things is I don't feel like I'm having to pick what I'm doing and spending time on. I get to actually put those designated times, which is really helpful when you're somebody who needs some sort of schedule to abide by. Otherwise, it's overwhelming. Like, we all multitask, but there's only so much multitasking you can do, to where you're just overwhelmed and you don't like any of it. So question 3, where did you find support and services? So were your supports, family and friends? And were they the ones that guided you to where you could get help? Or did you access, services through a clinic or your primary care doctor? Do you have like a case manager of any type that helped you? If you don't want to share, some of that stuff's probably like HIPAA and FERPA and stuff, but if you're not comfortable sharing, that's fine. But even if you can share things where other people could go, that would be helpful too. When I came into this job, there was a lot of agencies I didn't even know existed in our town until I started working with them. And part of that is like, if somebody hasn't accessed them, you don't know about them. Even though they advertise and things, it just, if your blinders are on looking for, the next fun thing to do and things, you don't think about supports that you might need. So that's why building connections and a network of people is really important to help us find those. The number one thing people hear about, like a resource or something, is word of mouth. So we really have to share and celebrate those organizations or programs and services that have helped us. Often there's even more there than so there's always a good contact that you can give somebody, and they can call, and at least they get connected to a program who probably has even more knowledge and experience and places that they can contact to help connect you to what's appropriate. So don't be afraid to share what you know, even if you don't know if it's the right fit. I feel like sometimes being able to just give some information and insight into like how a program worked or how the staff were, or, the process of getting enrolled, it eases a lot of people's anxiety about contacting that and reaching out and asking for help and normalizing that we all need help. So like, one thing that I know for sure is really hard as a parent is when you're a new mom and breastfeeding is not working. Like, that is a really hard thing to talk about. And once you're out of that phase and you don't have like a ton of kids and a ton of experience with it, you might not have had the same situation, and it's hard to relate. It's hard to remember. It's hard to like know the best thing to help people. And there's so many complex problems, barriers, emotions that go along with that, and challenges for each individual parent, child, that they really need some supports for that. So knowing that, just call labor and delivery and see what programs they have. Just call your pediatrician. Just call your OBGYN's office. Even if you don't have an appointment, they will always help support you in that transition, even though they don't have like designated programs for like a well check every day or something with you. If you need them, call them, and they can help get you connected to services. I know WIC has a lot of services as well, which I had never thought about, but they have like a whole maternal and child health department. And that has a lot of great education and services and coaches and support. And not just in like lactation, but like nutrition for your kids and other like parent-child bonding. And they have classes for parenting services. And I know I've said this before, but I think all parents benefit from some sort of parenting class. So it's not saying, no parenting class is saying that you are a poor parent. what it's recognizing is that we can all use support and help. So I wouldn't be able to talk to you guys about parenting just from my experience with Aiden. I have done a lot of research and I'm humbled by the fact that I don't know everything and I don't do everything right all the time. And I learn something new every time I take a new class, every time I teach a class. Because sometimes I have to go and research a problem because I haven't experienced it. And no child comes with a manual, right? And each child has their own unique personality. Some have mental disorders, some have behavior disorders, some have like physical disorders and physical illnesses that create a whole nother set of challenges outside the realm of typical child rearing, child parent bonding. There's so many things, and our own personal situations and where we're at as individuals makes that challenging as well to be the parent we want to be. Sometimes we can't because we're having problems with illnesses and things. So don't be afraid to take some parenting supports. A lot of people are scared when they're called a parenting class, but you really just learn tools and you never have to do anything one way. Like, I've read some self-help books and parenting books, and I'm sure they would love it if you said, yeah, I did it exactly this way and it was 100%, and you like validated them and helped support their book sales or whatever. But I truly feel that you take what you can and apply it in a practical manner to your family and your beliefs and things. And sometimes it challenges your beliefs and it helps you, navigate parenting to where you were rigid thinking on one way of doing things and you realize that's not working, and that's okay. So it's really just an extra support for you and those people. Like, if you take a class where you're in a group setting, you're going to find more supports and you're going to learn more, and they're going to have problems. Like, you might not be having that problem today, but 3 years from now you might be, and you'll be thankful you got some information from that. I always I might have tried something 6 months ago and forgot that it didn't work, so I just put it out my brain, right? Because it didn't work. It's never going to work, blah, blah, blah. But 6 months later, that same tactic strategy for parenting might work. And if I revisit it through research, reading a class or anything, it'll remind me, okay, well, it would be okay to try that again. Like, I don't know, why not? I mean, I know it didn't work, but nothing else is working. And then it works. So you never know where you're at in parenting. You never know what struggles you're going to have, and you can always use more education. So if you have a job, you have continual professional education. So, you could work at Walmart and you still have to learn, if there's any new computer programs or whatever the new procedures are, or I know there's different campaigns or incentives or things that go on in stores, promotion things, like they do that at gas stations. If you're a lawyer, it's not like you are a lawyer for 30 years and you never learn anything new. It's not like you're a doctor for 30 years and you never know anything new. So why would you be a parent for the whole life of your child and never learn anything new? We never start off knowing everything, and we're never going to know everything, but it just makes everything better if you can grow with your child and help learn and navigate that. It makes you a better parent because I feel like it not only makes you humble, but it makes you accountable to where you're not just focused on the child's problem. And it really helps you get outside of, gosh, my kid is so horrible, or gosh, we're really struggling. I don't think this is ever going to get any better. And having more information also helps you advocate for your kids. So there's experts on children, but they're not an expert on your child. So they're experts at the typical things in that age range for development. And, they don't know your child the way you do. And really, you have to come together to work on that, because they might be experts, but so are you. So you come together and you build plans together and you advocate for your kids, because your kids don't always know why they're doing what they're doing, why they're feeling what they're feeling, why they're not doing what they're not doing. So we have to help find that and find ways to make it so that they can. Sometimes it's learning styles, sometimes it's they're struggling with other things, so they're not focused. I mean, there's so many things that we look at. So my next question for you guys, knowing what you know now, how can you help yourself again? So if you're struggling right now, doing this revisioning of when it felt good, where you access services and supports, and how it felt, and it was amazing, and like you want to feel that again, how can you do that for yourself? If you don't need to do it for yourself right now, which is amazing, how can you do it for others? Because there's a lot of us that don't know where to access things, and a lot of us that struggle finding that information or are afraid to ask for that information. So how many of you are really brave and don't mind asking? Can you help call around for somebody else? Can you be with them while they do that? Can you just be their cheerleader to check in on them and be their buddy and be accountable? Can you take another parenting course with somebody, because it'll make them feel better to have somebody they know there? There's a lot of them that are free, so that's always nice, but there's a lot of programs that help meet your needs outside of just like learning how to parent better. Like I talked about WIC, like if your needs are you're having a hard time paying your bills, there's programs to do that. Call Opportunities Incorporated, get enrolled in some of their services, find out about their programs. Job service has always got things like if you're going to have to find new employment when all this is over, maybe this is the time you're looking at like, well, how do I change career fields, or do I need some more training? There's lots of programs in place to help you navigate that and help counsel you to find that. So don't feel like you have to know everything on your own, and you don't have to make decisions blindly. There's so many people willing to talk. And I know right now it's a little harder with social distancing, but pretty soon we will start seeing some relaxation on the stay at home, and there'll still be things in place to keep us all safe. But how can we still use phones and things? So it is my understanding a lot of Zoom and webinars and different programs so that they can still talk with people and help them, especially in these essential jobs to help meet people's needs. So don't be afraid to look out and investigate that. Call, leave a message, call again. I know it's hard and frustrating to call people over and over again. So just know everybody's overwhelmed right now, and everybody wants to help you meet your needs, and don't be afraid to keep asking. And if you are somebody who doesn't need help, or you're just really good at asking for it yourself, help others, be their cheerleaders. Find a way. I'm typing. Everything is backwards today. So I changed everything in my layout so I wouldn't have such horrible ergonomics, and I'm going back to an old keyboard, so it's kind of hard to get used to. So thank you guys all for joining me on this conversation. I hope that you find some useful information on it, or just some good reflection about when your needs were met. And if you have questions, we have a multitude of connections to resources, so you can always ask me here too. And my email is connected to this Parent Cafe Live channel. If you don't have it, it's nzimmerman@allianceforyouth.org. Please always message me on here or use my regular email to ask me questions. I look forward to hearing from you all. I hope you have a great Monday and great rest of the week. It's a beautiful day outside. Please get some fresh air and have your vitamin D need met for today. So I will talk to you all again on Wednesday. Thank you.